Hi everybody, welcome back. In this video we're going to continue on with a market analysis for a bank and looking at all the, in this case, counties within a bank's footprint. And to do so, I'm using a bank called Park National Bank, located in Ohio, headquartered in Ohio, but it has locations in Ohio primarily, also Kentucky, and in the Carolinas as well. So in the last video, if you haven't seen that, we defined the market area and created this, this spreadsheet here. In this video, we're going to combine this data with census data. So to do that, we come out here to data.census.gov and do advanced search. I'm actually going to open this up twice so that I can show you what we're after. A couple of videos ago, we talked about the geographies and how we use those with the American Community Survey. The first thing we'll do is actually click on the American Community Survey, and as I mentioned in the former video, because we're dealing with some counties and especially some rural counties, we need to be using the 5-year American Community Survey estimates instead of the 1-year. 1-year estimates are fine for states or for almost all of the metropolitan statistical areas, but anytime you're dealing with counties, especially if you're getting out into the rural areas, you're going to be more likely to need to use 5-year data estimates. So 5-year estimates, data profiles is what we're after. We'll just pick the most current year that's available to us. And before I go into geographies and pick counties, I just want to use this one first, which I'll show you why in a moment. But ultimately, what we need to do is first pick, here are the surveys. We have social characteristics, economic characteristics, housing characteristics, and demographic and housing. So if you just click into one of these, let's click into economic characteristics, you'll see all the variables available to you. So all sorts of employment statistics on whether you're employed, unemployed, the number of people employed and unemployed, in this case in the entire United States. So unemployed, here we have commuting behaviors, occupational and industry statistics, and income statistics. So personal income, family income, income with people on Social Security, right? So a little bit of information about the types of income and earnings, health insurance, so on and so forth. So you look through here and you see kind of what variables you're interested in. What I want to do for this demonstration is we're going to grab the population, 16 and over. We'll grab the unemployment rate, and we'll grab the median household income down here in dollars. But then basically you can do it with all sorts of other things. So here we have all the economic things. Housing has some interesting stuff in here, especially as it relates to banks. So you could look at occupancy rates, vacancy rates, the types of units when they're built, so on and so forth. But then ultimately, down here you have things like, one, the value of the house, and mortgage status. So owner-occupied units with a mortgage, without a mortgage, the value of the housing with mortgages, and down here we get to rent. And so occupant units paying rent, so get an idea of ownership versus renting, and then also the percentage of the income. So people who are spending more than 35% or more on their rent, or all these other different percentages. So a lot of this can be relevant to banks and bankers. We also have age, sex, education, all sorts of demographic variables as well, and this last one, social characteristics, has even more. So depending on the type of, here's educational attainment, depending on the type of analysis you're doing, you just look through these, figure out what it is you're trying to examine, and in our case, we'll just do, instead of the total population, which I think is in one of these other ones, here's total households. Well, nonetheless, here's total population. So instead of doing total population or some type of age composition analysis, which we could do to keep things simple for the demonstration, I'm just going to download data from one of these surveys. We'll grab the population 16 and over, which is used to calculate employment statistics. So we'll grab the technically adult age population, defined by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the unemployment rate, and median household income. All right, so to do this, we could customize the table and then download it, but this is still in the United States, and what we want are counties. So back on the advanced search from the data.census.gov, we have the 5-year data estimates, most recent year, and counties as our geography. We could, be a little specific, but it's easy enough to just do all the counties in the United States. So search for that, do the economic characteristics, and this is why I showed you the data in the United States, because this table is too large to display, but by looking here, we see what's available to us and what variables we're looking for, which we can reference again. Here we're going to go ahead and download this table as a CSV. That's fine. 2018, that's fine, and we'll download that. Download now. And here's the folder. We're going to open up the biggest one here. And the very first thing I want you to do is take this CSV file and save it as an Excel file. Because this is a CSV, anything we do to it, formulas or highlighting or anything like that, will be will not be saved unless it's saved as an Excel file. So I'm going to do a save as. I'm going to do a browse here, and we're going to put this into my data folder. And let's just put it into. Let's just put it right here. That's fine. But the main thing is save it as an Excel workbook instead of it's currently a CSV. Save it as an Excel workbook, and we're just going to call this, I'm going to put it in a census folder. We're going to call this economic, because it's the economic data profiles for all the counties in the United States. Okay, now let me share with you what we have here in this data set. So first of all, if you look at these first 4, all of these, this is gonna, that's probably not a good idea. Let's do it like this. Wrap text on these. So here we have population 16 and over. Here we also have population 16 and over. Next one as well, next one as well. And then we move on to a different variable, population 16 and over, in the labor force. So all of these variables have an estimate, a margin of error for the estimate, a percent estimate, and a margin of error for the percent estimate. A lot of these are either redundant or don't, or just aren't applicable. So ultimately, for this analysis, all we need are for the population 16 and over, we're just going to use the estimate. I said the other one we're going to use is the unemployment rate, so we'll go ahead and search unemployment or civilian labor force. Yeah, unemployment rate. There we go. For the unemployment rate, there is no estimate, there is no margin of error. That's because the unemployment rate is a percent, so that's the percent estimate. That's the one we want here. And the last one was median household income. There we go, median household income in dollars, and we just want the estimate for that. So I'm going to grab that one. I highlighted these so I can see them. I'm going to grab that, come over here, look for there's the hold control and hit the column there, and hold control, hit the column here, here, and here. So I'm going to then Control C, copy those, and paste them into a new worksheet. Don't need these highlighted anymore. But these are the variables that I'm interested in. Here we have the county and the state. But as I shared in the last video, it's not always very easy to just do a VLOOKUP or merge a data set by county and state names. It's much easier to use those FIPS codes. And here we have a geographic ID. And if you can notice, as I mentioned in the last video, we have these 5-digit numbers. Autauga County, Alabama, 01 is the state code for Alabama. 001 is the first county alphabetically. So ultimately, we need these 5 digits out of this first cell. So to do that, I'm going to insert and make a formula. We want the right 5 digits of this text. We want the right 5 of them. And this should work fine, but sometimes this will still be listed as a string. So just if you want to make sure this is a number, you can do a value function to convert that into a number. And so we have 1 as the state 001. Copy that down, and now we have a FIPS code for each of these counties. All right, and with that, we can then convert it over into our previous Excel workbook where we already had our defined market areas, and we have our FIPS codes here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do adult population. We're going to do unemployment rate and the median household income. All right, and then to do that, we just do a VLOOKUP. We look for this FIPS code back in our previous worksheet. Again, easiest way is to select all the columns instead of selecting actual cells. So FIPS code needs to be the leftmost column. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are the columns we're most interested in. So the first one, population, is column 3. We want an exact match, so we put a 0 as that last argument. And that gives us the adult population. That's in column 3. The unemployment rate is in column 4. And our income is in column 5. Okay, and we take that, copy it down. For these two, I want to convert these to a nicer number with a comma. And the employment rate is in percentage terms. And then there we have it. So there's our oops, and we need to copy these down here. And let's just make this an even single digit. Okay, and so there's our data. We have the population in all of these places, the unemployment rate, the median household income. One maybe interesting thing that we could do is insert an average for each market area. And we'll do an average here as well. Oops. Grab our average. And, oops, there we go. 5.3, 5.1. So we can see slightly lower unemployment rate in the Carolinas market. The population on average is higher per county, and median household income is slightly lower. But then finally what we could end up doing is perhaps grabbing some of these and ranking everything by whichever statistic we think might be most interesting. If maybe we go ahead and do this by population. So largest to, let's do it by household income. Largest to smallest household income. We do that for the Ohio and Kentucky market. Control-Shift-L gives us that filter, and do largest to smallest here as well. Control-Shift-L to get rid of that. So now we have the markets ranked from highest to lowest based on their household income. Here, this unemployment rate, let's go ahead and make this smaller. Wrap the text there. Not there. And so ultimately now we're just formatting, right? So population, so that we can get a nice table in the end. Let's center this, but instead of centering it like with a center formula, because text will often mess up the alignment of the decimal points, or for example, if you had a 10.5 or something like that, the decimal point is off here. So instead of centering, the best thing to do is right justify, but then shift it over a bit. And that way it'll keep the decimal points lined up regardless of what happens. This looks fine, this looks fine. I'm going up on the top here to view and getting rid of grid lines. Another thing that you can do is if we grab all of this and make it into a table, so you can do Control-T or in the Home tab, format as a table, and pick one that goes white, gray, white, gray. Doesn't really matter what you do with the headers because we're gonna change that. But yeah, either way, continue, and immediately we'll just take what we did and convert it back to a range. We'll get rid of these columns that it added in, and we'll change that back to black. We'll do the same thing down here. Get rid of those. Oh, convert it to a range first. Now we can get rid of those. Convert it back to black. Convert everything to Times New Roman. Make it look nice. Let's grab the branches column. Cut that and put that here. That's going to be branches. This one too, we don't really, I mean, we could center it. That's not actually that bad because we don't have decimal points. But I just really like to have numbers lined up. So just justify those. Yeah, that'll work. And we know these are different formulas than the rest, so we'll just ignore those. Ignore that error. Probably same thing here. Yep, ignore. And let's see. We don't need to have the FIPS codes in the final table. So we'll just insert a column there, get rid of all the formatting there. We can move average over here, Ohio and Kentucky over here, same thing down here. Let's get some space. What's going on here? Move that over, move this over. We don't need to include the average there. Otherwise, we're looking good. Let's format those up. Maybe let's put this down here. Okay, looking good. And finally, let's add a title. So table number, let's just call it table 1. And this is going to be economic market statistics, Park National Bank, and let's say 2013 through 2018. AC, 2013, 2018. Down at the bottom, we can put the source, American Community Survey 5-year estimates, 2013 through 2018. Yeah, that looks good. This one we can really maybe try to. Why is there so much space there? This one too. Median household income. Let's just call this, to make this smaller, let's do unemployment rate so that we can shrink that down a bit. And yeah, I think from there that's looking fine. Adult population, branches, adult population, unemployment rate, and median household income. Let's move this over just a bit. Left justify and move it over 1. That looks a little better. Oh wait, left justify. Yeah. Okay, and there we have a table, and we have the state. I'll just leave that out. Average, yeah, that'll be fine. One thing we could do, if you thought it would be interesting, is if you want to compare these to the average, and here we have 55,000. That's going to be right in between these two. You could maybe make a red line where you have a bottom border there, and if you did that, you could say, okay, anything above the red line represents the average, so that anything above the red line is greater than the average for the market, anything below the red line is lower, and vice versa. So anyway, you can kind of do what you want there. These got messed up. I don't know how that happened. Just move those over a touch. That'll work. Although I think I don't want the line for now. I don't want to write anything more in the footnotes. And just to make this a little bit less, then we finally have a really nice looking table. What we can do is copy all of that, go over to Word. I'll use my FIPS, get rid of that. And instead of pasting it just straight paste, Control V, where depending on the table, you might get things mixed up a bit. All of my formatting reverted back to where it was before. These aren't centered anymore. So instead of just straight up pasting, what I like to do is format everything in Excel to make it as nice as I want it to be. And then you can copy it and paste it as a picture. So copy over here, paste as a picture, and then you're good to go. And I'll do a Control E to center it. And there you have it. So you have a table of the economic market statistics for Park National Bank during the 2013 to 2018 period. Oh, one last thing that you should add in here is ranked from highest to lowest median household income for each market. Okay, and that should do it. Repaste that as a picture. And there you're good to go. So you then write about it in your text. You look at these and you think about, okay, what are the implications for this for the bank when you're looking at population or unemployment rates or incomes, and how that's going to affect what the bank might do differently in one market compared to the other as they're thinking about lending or advertising campaigns or so on and so forth. So there you have it. Market analysis for a bank, in this case economic. But again, as you're out there in that census, feel free to look into the different housing statistics, demographic statistics, and social characteristics. And ultimately, when you download these, they're pretty unruly. They're very, very large files. They're very large files, but ultimately, if you know what you're looking for, you can kind of quickly go through and just highlight them, grab the ones you need, paste them into a new sheet to kind of make it easy to transfer over into a different file. So and then just clean it up into a nice looking table and paste it into your file. Save all of these as Excel files, not as CSVs, so that when you do an Excel workbook, when you do that, this is going to be this Park Economic Market Analysis. So that if you want to make any changes later, you have everything there. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. If you do have any questions, let me know. And I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next video.